Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the CORECAST. I am your host, Mike Carlson, and today I'm joined by the founder of Handi Capable Fitness, James Norris. James, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Mike, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. You guys reached out about a week ago, said, hey, we got this thing going on. We would love for you to be a part of it. And I was like, absolutely. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for having me on. I'm super excited.
Well, we can't thank you enough for coming on, and we're going to have just, I think, what is going to be an incredible conversation. And I want to start from the beginning, because when you talked to us, you told us your story. I think it's just a flat out incredible story. So let's start there. Why don't you tell us the James Norris comic book #1 origin story?
Okay, so here goes. I'm 35 years old. I have cerebral palsy, but I was born premature. But other than that, and having to spend 3 months in the hospital, I was born quote unquote normal. And then I believe it was at the age of about 1.5, I had a hernia. So I went in for that operation. During that operation, the mask came off my face and my brain was without air, or the hose that provided oxygen came loose, and my brain was without air for 5.5 minutes, which in turn caused cerebral palsy. But they didn't tell my parents at the time. So my parents brought me home. Everything was, good. Then they realized, hey, he's getting to a certain age and he's not hitting, these milestones that he should be hitting. And so they called up Boston Children's Hospital, and right away they diagnosed me with cerebral palsy. And let me start off before I get really into the crux of the story. Cerebral palsy is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I know a lot of people are like, what are you talking about? How is that the case? And honestly, it's because it taught me to deal with adversity from a very young age and get comfortable with dealing with adversity. And I think that's extremely prevalent with what we have going on today. I think a lot of people are, kind of stuck in their own homes and isolated. And for the handicapable community and the adaptive community, this is kind of how we've been for a long time, because we're not comfortable. A lot of people aren't comfortable with their disabilities and that sort of thing. But going back to my story, my family never treated me any different. In fact, I believe that they held me to a higher standard because they knew what I was capable of. Yeah. And growing up in Boston, absolutely love Boston sports. It's kind of a rite of passage. It's in your blood. And so I was super competitive. So I got involved in t-ball or whatever, and wheelchair basketball, and it served its purpose and it was great. But I noticed at the end of the day, the score was always 0-0. And it always ended in a tie, and I was like, no, that's bullcrap. My team won 4-3. Like, so I went home and I told my mom, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. So growing up through school, I had a lot of friends and a lot of acquaintances, but I was the type of person where, I'd go to school, do my work, come home, watch sports. That was it. You never really see me out at a party. Never really, at a football game on a Friday night, even though I love sports. It just wasn't me. And I think it was because of the cerebral palsy. Like, I always thought that one of two things: people were talking to me because they felt bad, or they weren't talking to me because they just didn't know how to correspond with somebody, and they didn't want to offend. So it wasn't that people were being jerks. It's just they were unfamiliar and they didn't want to cross boundaries. So throughout this whole process, like I said, grew up loving sports. And I knew I couldn't be, your prototypical athlete. So I was like, I got to get into this field, somehow, to just be close to the game. And so I always listened to sports radio. So one day I heard a commercial come on the air, and I was like, you know what? Let me just try and see what happens. So I went to broadcasting school, worked in Boston radio for 6 years. Absolutely loved it. Then I had the opportunity to go to California for a production job. And I'm thinking at the time, because all I wanted to do was radio, this whole fitness thing, this whole handicapable fitness thing wasn't even on the radar at this point. So I thought I was going to be bumping elbows with, Ryan Seacrest, all the big shots out in California, and got out there, worked out there for about 6 months. Then I got laid off, and I fell into a depression, started to really develop some unhealthy habits, and came back to Boston after the year was up. And I was lucky enough to get my job back at the radio station. Then through the life of radio, they got bought out, and a lot of people got laid off. Unfortunately, I was one of the layoffs. So I remember coming home from work one day, and I live on the second floor, and I get around on my knees. And at this time I was like 20 something. And I went up the stairs, and I was sweating like I ran the marathon. And I was like, man, I have to do something. But like I said, I knew nothing about fitness. So I just joined a local commercial gym, would literally go in there every single day and do the same workout every day. A trainer saw me, he's like, listen, you're in here all the time. He's like, let me design a program around you and your goals and your challenges, and we'll see what we can do. So fast forward, one thing led to another. Lost 65 pounds, but I think what is more important, I finally was able to discover that inner athlete. I knew I wasn't going to be the biggest, wasn't going to be the fastest or the strongest in the gym, but I was competing with myself. So I was just taking videos on my phone to show my friends and family, all the new things that I was able to do. And my trainer at the time goes, man, he goes, if you're doing this, he goes, you need to put it out there in this public forum. And so that's how Handicapable Fitness was born. And I started to share my own journey, but then I was like, you know what, if I'm doing this, there has to be other people with similar challenges and similar situations doing the same thing. So I started to highlight them, and now we are becoming a nonprofit, but I've done things like Spartan races, sled hockey, rock climbing, skiing. And it was a really interesting story when it came to doing the Spartan races. 2 years ago, they did a race out in Laughlin, Nevada. It was the first ever Paris Spartan race. They called me 2 weeks before, and they were like, listen, we're doing this race. Would you want to do it? Now me, I'm like, let's go. Like, where do I sign up? And then, but I had no idea what a Spartan race was. And then I YouTubed it, and I'm like, what did I get myself into here? I was like, and so I went out there, and it was a 3.5 mile course, 21 different obstacles, I believe. And I did it in a wheelchair called the Grit Freedom Chair, which is a chair that's basically made out of mountain bike parts that you pump with your arms. And the way I describe it is just the energy of the event, and not even just me completing the race myself, but just the overall energy of the event was a Tony Robbins conference magnified by like 100. Just the energy was absolutely insane, and that was kind of like my awakening moment. And I was like, okay, this is cool. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, And one other story that I'll give to you real quick is,
go for it.
I had a shirt on with my logo before the race, and this woman came running up, and she's like, oh my God, she's like, I follow you on social media. She goes, my son has cerebral palsy, and because of you, he wants to be a personal trainer. So I was like, no way, like this is insane. I'm just a small guy from Boston. Like, what? So I went up and I talked to him, and he looked at me like I was the Rock. And it was from that point on that knew that this was my calling and this was my purpose in life. And the rest has been history.
That's incredible. And I think
So
that last story you shared, I think that's just, wow. I'm blown away. There's just so much in there, and I'm excited to jump into all of it. I want to start with the Spartan race though. So like you said, you got an email 2 weeks before starting this race. And anyone who's familiar with Spartan races, it's something that is, you train a long time for, and to cram it all in 2 weeks is a task. What was that training process like for you? What were you focusing on? What were you doing? Did anything change? Tell me a little bit about kind of how you got ready.
Honestly, like I said, I fly by the seat of my pants. So like, and being that it was only like a 2-week heads up, I really couldn't like train for it. So I was just doing my typical like bodybuilding style, because that's all I knew at the time. Workouts, and then I just kind of showed up, and probably the cool part was it was me and another guy, and I didn't know the other guy, but he was probably like 350 pounds with a spinal cord injury, and it was me and two other. We're gonna do this race, and the able-bodied people were like, okay, well, how is this gonna work out? We have these guys, and they definitely have their limitations. But then before we started the race, there was two women that were like, hey, we see that you're about ready to go out. Like, let us help you. We want to do this with you. So we were like, okay. And the cool part is that, they had a cash prize on the line. We were just doing it just to do it at this point. And so there was your average everyday folks that were out there doing it too. And they would see us doing it, and they'd be like, oh, we want to run with you. And and we created like this pack, so there was people that we met throughout the race that we didn't know before. And I'm on their back going over our cargo net, and doing this sort of thing. They're picking me up and they're shoving me over the wall or whatever. We got real close real quick. And by the time we crossed the finish line, it was we probably had maybe 15 to 20 people that were there. And it was crazy because we were the last team out, and they were giving out the awards for the people that competed in the elite race. And then somebody goes, hey, there's a team out there. So they stopped doing the ceremony, and they watched us all cross the finish line.
That's
and
awesome.
It was insane, and everybody erupted, and it was wild.
That's crazy. So take me into the race, because like you said, there's just so many different obstacles. Was there any moment or set of moments where you're like, wow, like I am doing it. Like this is 100% real. Like I am in the thick of it. Did you have any moments or obstacles that stood out where you're like, okay, like this is real life right now?
Absolutely. I mean, so I'll bring you to two. One was in the very beginning of the race. And there was this woman. Her name is Amy Winters. You should look her up. She's got several different world records. She's an amputee. She's done death races all over the world. Just a phenomenal woman. And so she ran the race with her team as part of the elite team, saw us going out, and she was like, I'm gonna turn around and do it again. So she was like guiding the wheelchair that I was using while I was pumping. Well, we picked up so much speed at this one point because we were going down this hill. And we're in Laughlin, Nevada, which is all rocks, all sand, just complete desert. And the chair picked up so much speed, and we're on like the edge of like this cliff or this slope, and I'm going, oh no, this is it, because we couldn't stop. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over. So the chair actually started to tip, and she, all in one stride, like, kept running, but got down on one knee and shouldered me like a football player. Got the
Wow.
chair back up, got the chair back up level, and just kept going, all in one motion. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is real. Like,
Yeah.
all right, here we go. So, and then there was another point at the end of the race, or getting pretty close to the end of the race, where you know, it was brutal. It was brutal. I mean, I was bleeding because you have to crawl through sand. I mean, I was beat up, man.
Yeah.
You know, and I could see that everybody around me kind of felt like the same thing. And we were doing the monkey bars, and I was up on somebody's like shoulder. And if you ever do a Spartan race, when you get to the end of an obstacle, you have to hit this bell.
Gotcha.
So I don't know what came over me, but it, you know, I reached up and I smacked the bell, and I swear I sent that thing from back to Boston. And I screamed some profanities, and I like freaked everybody out, because nobody knew I was gonna like scream like a maniac like that. And I didn't even know. It was just a natural reaction. And Spartan actually got a great action shot of that.
Nice.
And I like to tell people that photo embodies who I am as a person to a T. Because if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it 110%. And there's just no turning back from it. So yeah, it's those two stories that really like stick out in my mind. And then afterwards, you know, I don't want to scare people if they haven't done it. But I was sore, and I was bleeding in the shower. I was like, this is crazy. But honest to God, best thing I've ever done in life.
That's incredible. You bring up a really kind of interesting point. You alluded to it a little bit earlier. You talked about, you know, finding your inner athlete. And that's something that, you know, we're, you know, all about at Anchor, and something that we talk about is, you know, we're athlete, you know, everyone can be an athlete. Like, you know, I go out and I hit, you know, range balls and, you know, work on my golf swing, and I'll go play basketball. And like, that is athleticism, even though I'm not doing it in a competitive way. And you really hit on that, and finding your inner athlete. You know, looking back and kind of that moment, you know, is there any moment, you know, where you're kind of like, where that kind of light bulb goes on and you're like, okay, like, this is who I am right now. This is that 110%, you know, smack the bell at the end of a Spartan race, you know, competitive guy. Do you have any moment that started that?
Well, you know what? It's funny, because yes, I do. And I'll remember it clear as day. Like, I was doing, I think it was a shoulder press just at the regular gym that I was at the time. And I think we were up to like 40 pounds on my good side, and I was able to do it. Like, and I was able to do it pretty much with ease at this point. And I was like, hold on, we're onto something here. Like this is badass. Like, let's go. Like, this is awesome, you know. And from that point on, it was like I said before, like, I knew I was never going to be the biggest, never going to be the fastest. I wasn't going to step on stage at the Olympia and win that, you know. But for me, you know, that was the defining moment. And probably really the other one is the story that I told you, where the mother came up to me and said, you know, because of you, my son wants to be a personal trainer. You know, and I still talk to him to this day. He's one of my best friends in the world, and honestly one of my biggest motivations to keep doing what I'm doing. So
incredible. And it's led to, you know, Handi Capable Fitness. It's, that's your organization. And I just, I want everyone to know, because you told us and you explained to us, the incredible work you're doing, and you've alluded to it a little bit, but talk a little bit more about that, and kind of starting it and really getting it off the ground, and having a lot of success with it, which you have.
Well, thank you for that. And yeah, like I said before, this is all kind of hatched out of my own personal fitness journey. And I was like, well, if I'm doing all these things and getting to have all these experiences such as Spartan races and sled hockey and rock climbing and all these different activities that I've been able to do. I train at one of the best gyms in the country, Mike Boyle Strength Conditioning, and these
Yep.
are all opportunities that have been given to me. And my whole mission for Handicapable Fitness is I want to give back what's been given to me. And the mission of that is, what we want to do is, if somebody comes to you and says, or comes to us and says, hey, I want to get a personal trainer, whatever that personal trainer means to them, it can be a physical therapist, it can be your average personal trainer, average fitness professional, however that's defined. We want to then go to the fitness professional and be like, okay, how much is it going to be to work with Johnny for 6 months? Okay,
Yeah.
this is what it's going to be. Handicapable Fitness is going to give a scholarship to help that. Or, oh, they want to do a Spartan race, but they need that special wheelchair for the race, or they need their entry fees covered. Handicapable Fitness wants to step in and help pay for that. The long-term goal is to obviously pay for everything in full. So it'd be like, hey, you know what? Here's a year's worth of training. Here's a brand new chair that you can take and go hiking and do your Spartan races. But being realistic, we're unable to do that right now. So we want to at least give a scholarship and assist in that process. And that's kind of the goal, because like I said, I've been given so much in life, and I've been exposed to so many amazing people. The James you see today is a compilation of so many different things. First and foremost, my faith and my family, and then just my network of people. I mean, I wake up every day and I consider myself so blessed to have the opportunities that I have and be exposed, because the thing is that Spartan Race had opened up a whole new community for me, not just handicapable or adaptive athletes, but military veterans and so many loyal people, and people that have great connections, and just down to earth people. And these are people that have chosen to invest some of their time in me. And it's those are the people at Mike Boyle Strength Conditioning, that when I'm out there and I'm doing these things, speaking to kids, whatever the case may be, when I'm doing that stuff, that's my way of paying them back and saying, hey, thank you for investing in my journey. Here you go. I'm taking what you did for me and I'm passing it on to somebody else.
And I quite frankly, I love that, because it's about paying it forward at the end of the day. And that is the most important thing too. If you've been given an incredible opportunity, it's about, passing that on. And I think you hit that right on the head. And it's, very much reflective in the work you've done with Handicapable Fitness.
Thank you so much. I mean, and the other thing I'll add too is I've been able to meet so many amazing kids and youth and that sort of thing. But one of the biggest things for me, and it's one of the most rewarding things, and I didn't realize it till probably about 6 or 8 months ago, is that when I meet with these kids, I'm not only helping them, but I'm also helping their parents, because let's face it. I mean, first of all, whenever you have a child, there's no handbook that comes with it, period.
Yep.
But then you throw special needs on top of it, and it's like, well, what do I do here? And, you know, I've almost been a sounding board for parents to be like, hey, listen, you want to push your kid here, but you want to ease up and kind of give them a little bit of assistance here. These are the surgeries you want to look out for. These are the services that are out there. And that's another rewarding part of what I do, because, you know, these parents don't know, and they're
Mhm.
coming to somebody that's lived through it and been through it, and they use me as a sounding board, and that's another rewarding experience.
I absolutely love that. And I wanted to talk about some of the other cool experiences, because the Spartan Race it's just one of the many incredible things, you know, that you've been doing. You talked about rock climbing. I'm fascinated about the sled hockey thing. I think that's just incredibly cool, incredibly awesome. Where did that come from? Did it come from, like you said, being a Boston sports fan, a Bruins fan growing up? You know, take me into that, because I think that's just so cool.
Yeah, I mean it really did. I'm the type of person similar to the Spartan Race. Like I said, I'm the type of person that if there's a physical activity, I want to do it. Like,
Yeah.
let's go, sign me up. I'll figure it out on the fly. Like,
Hmm.
and I'm ultra competitive. So
Yeah.
even like my first time on the ice, I expect to be good at. I expect to be good.
I love
So,
that.
you know, so there's a local rehab hospital here in Boston. They've worked with some of the marathon bombing victims, world renowned, called Spalding Rehab,
Hmm.
and they have a bunch of different sports, and I think it's every Sunday for like $5 to $10 they do an open skate where,
Wow.
you know, you can come, and it's like 2 to 3 hours, and they run you through drills, and then they break out and have like a scrimmage game. And one of
Hmm.
the things I really enjoy about it is that anybody can do it.
Yeah.
So if you were here in Boston, you know, I'd say, hey, you know, let's go play sled hockey, and
Yeah.
you could jump on a sled and sit there and play with us. And
Nice.
I think that's another cool experience, because it gives the able-bodied community a
Hmm.
sense of what it's like. But it's an amazing sport. It's just like, you know, your normal hockey.
Yeah.
It's fast paced. I mean, it's even at the Olympic level at this point.
Hmm.
And I was able to play with one of the guys on the team last year before all the COVID stuff happened. And man, let me tell you, like, I didn't want
Hmm.
any part of this guy. I mean, he he, he was shooting the puck at like 70 miles an hour, like
Wow.
seated, and he was flying, like, I mean, absolutely flying. I'm like, if this guy hits me, I'm dead. So
Hmm.
I'm just gonna stay over here. Like,
Yeah.
um, you know, but honestly, next to the Spartan Race, that's the sport that I found that really gives the ultimate adrenaline rush. And
Hmm.
to circle back a little bit,
Yeah.
it did start by being a Bruins fan. I mean,
Yeah.
one of my really good friends and the trainer that I first worked with at Mike Blow Strength Conditioning, who
Hmm.
helped get me up and walking, Ken Whittier, now works for the Boston Bruins
Wow.
as their assistant strength and conditioning coach. And, you know, we just created a bond. And, you know, I mean, we're both Boston sports guys, and so
Hmm.
that just kind of fed into it a little bit. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, well, I want to make Ken proud, and I want to become a hockey player now.
I, I love that, and I'm definitely. I don't know if that was an invitation, but the next time I'm in Boston, I'm definitely going to take you up on that, and we are for
let's
sure going to go play
let's
some sled hockey. I'm in.
let's go. I'm not gonna take it easy though. I'm gonna poke you in the ribs. I'm a little dirty.
Hey, I wouldn't expect anything less. I want to be challenged. If I'm going to get out on the ice, like we're gonna compete, man.
I I want to have that first hockey fight. Let's go.
I love it. I love it. I want to, and you talked about it a little bit, so I appreciate you kind of teeing up my questions nicely. You're doing my job for me a little bit there, so I appreciate it. You talked about kind of training and COVID and how everything has kind of shifted. So, and this is something we've talked to, all of the athletes and trainers is, what has your training routine look like, with, limited availability, with, sometimes gym restrictions and gym closers? What's changed, in a positive way, and what have been some of the challenges?
Oh man, it's definitely been a challenge. You hit the nail on the head with that. And it had been a struggle at some points, because there one thing that COVID taught me during this whole time was I was unprepared from a personal gym setting.
Yeah.
I didn't have free weights. I didn't have, mini bands. So then this all happens and I'm scouring the internet for dumbbells and mini bands and just something that I can get my hands on to do something. And it was like impossible for a time. And then Power Block dumbbells, they were kind enough to actually send me a pair of dumbbells, which was amazing. They've helped out a lot. Use a lot of mini bands. I go outside, go to parks, hook up the mini bands, use that sort of thing. Another thing I do is I go to the local track and I walk with my walker. And right now I'm up to like 1.5 miles at a time, which is amazing. So those are the types of things that I'm doing. And then I came across your product at Mike Bowl Strength and Conditioning, and I was like, oh my God, like this thing is a game changer, because there's so many different things that you can do with that piece of technology. And it's perfect for the home gym setting. Like, I don't know if that's why you guys created it and that was like the whole like mission behind it, but it just happened to work out perfectly that way. And I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to get my hands on it because it really is a game changer, and it's going to just add to my overall fitness. And I feel that, God forbid, if we do get shut down again and have to go back into quarantine, I feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that I'll be able to stay on my fitness regimen, being that I have your piece of equipment, the dumbbells, the mini bands, my walker. I feel I'll be a little bit more prepared. So, but it was definitely a challenge, a huge challenge.
And what are some things, like I know, personally for myself, we went through the kind of the same home gym, kind of like, oh, wow, we need this stuff, for sure. Like, we got to get it right now, but what things have you seen in your training regimen where you're like, okay, you're like, I used to do this before, but, I'm doing this now. And I think, post COVID, I'm going to just keep doing that. Is there anything where you've seen that you're like, what, I think I might just make a permanent switch to that?
Yes. And this is how I started working out at Mike Bowl Strength and Conditioning. Is my mission was to walk. And, I literally woke up one day and I was like, I want to do a 5K.
Yeah.
Why I said that? I don't know. And then we started training for it. And I'm like, maybe next time you should just like shut up and not say anything, because this training regimen is grueling. But but COVID really got me up and really utilizing my walker and really pushing me to be more active with that. Because with cerebral palsy, as anybody, with cerebral palsy knows somebody with that, or even if you don't, it's really important that you use your muscles every single day, because it's important for everybody. But they lock up, they get tighter, because your muscles like a rubber band, right? So your muscles are like this, all stretched out. Well, somebody with CP, it's more of like a ball, and it's harder to stretch that out. So you need to walk, you need to stay active, you need to stretch, you need to do all these things. So walking for me has been a huge part of what it is I'm doing. You know, and it all kind of started, yes, during COVID, but one of my good friends, she's probably one of my best friends in the world. She's a military vet, and she was like, man, I'm gonna start walking on the treadmill, like getting back to where I was, and just really pushing myself, you know. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, if you're gonna go out on the treadmill, or you're gonna go on these hikes or whatever, like, I can take my butt down to the track and I can walk my walker. I'm like, we're gonna do this together, and it motivated me. And we feed off of each other for that. So walking has definitely been a huge part of my journey, and something that I'm gonna stick to.
I absolutely, I love that. You talk about your journey, and I got one more question, then we're going to get to the rapid fire, the fun stuff. We're going to talk about a lot of really cool things. So you talked about your journey, and, you know, kind of, you know, this whole incredible process. What are some things you've learned either about yourself or just in general, you know, throughout, you know, just the entire incredible journey you've on? Because, you know, to be quite honest, you've made an impact on a lot of lives. You've helped a lot of people, and you're going to continue to help a lot of people. But I mean, the work you've done to this point has been just flat out incredible.
Well, I keep saying thank you, and that's because I truly mean it. But and that is a loaded question. I feel like could go on for days. But let me try to sum it up like this. Like, there's two different things. People go through life, you know, and they're like, why am I here? What's my purpose? What's my calling? And sometimes they never figure it out. I consider myself very fortunate to say that I've figured out that purpose, and I know why I'm here. I know why I get woken up every day, and it's to help other people. And that leads me to this point. What have I learned? It's not about me. It's not about me. It's something much deeper than me. And like I said, it's all about passing on those opportunities and those gifts that I've been given to other people. Because let me tell you, there's no better feeling than, you know, seeing somebody do something they never thought was possible.
Yeah.
Because of, and it doesn't even need to be a disability or physical limitation. There's just, you know, face it, sometimes we think we can't do something. And then we do it, and then that light bulb goes off in your head, and you're like, oh, I just woke up a beast in here. Like, this is crazy, you know. And I've been fortunate enough to play a small part in seeing some of those moments, and that's what drives me. That's what pushes me. And, you know, that's what it's about. But it's not about James. It's something much bigger. It's about the athletes that are featured on the page, and the athletes and the people that I come in contact with every day. You know, like I said, I just want to do my best to push them forward and help them realize what they are capable of.
I absolutely love that. And I that's just a flat out incredible answer. So thank you so much for sharing that.
No problem.
So you ready for the rapid fire?
Bring it on.
Okay, so we're gonna start. This is something we've asked everyone to this point. So I'm interested to hear your take. We've got a whole kind of bunch of different answers. What is your favorite exercise or movement?
Oh man, I love back exercises, because I feel like that's where I have the best mind muscle connection. But then I also love leg day, and for me, leg day means something a little bit different than your average person. But I love RFEs, and I love the fact that no matter how much I do them, it still feels like I destroy my legs. Like, and I mean that in a good way. And you know, it's been awesome. But bring on leg day every day.
Okay, I think the third or fourth.
Nobody will ever say that answer again. I guarantee that.
We've had a couple people who have said just squats in general, but no one has said bring on leg day. So I'm going to go ahead and check that one off as a first. So I love that. This next one, we've got a whole lot of different answers on. So I also want to get your take. You've just gotten done with a workout. What's your go-to post-workout, snack?
Oh, snack. Let's see. Love sweet potatoes, but if it's
Nice.
simply just a snack, I want to do a protein shake with rice cakes and peanut butter.
Okay, I love that. We've gotten protein shake, but I like the rice cakes and peanut butter. I think that's an underrated addition. So I absolutely love that.
You throw almonds and a banana on it, complete game changer.
Okay. I'm glad all of our listeners are going to hear that, because I can guarantee you that's going to be something that next post-workout, they're going to be like, okay, we're going to go rice cakes, peanut butter, almond. We're going to do all of that. So it's going to be just incredible. You're a Boston sports guy. This was the one I'm probably most excited to ask you out of all the questions. Give me your top 4 Boston athletes all time.
Oh my God. Man. This is like a Barbara Walters question right here. I feel like I'm on 2020. Tom Brady.
Okay.
A lot of people are upset with him right now. I love him. I'm rooting for Tampa Bay. Screw Bill Belichick. But Tom Brady. Then you gotta go Larry Bird.
Mm-hmm.
You can basically take anybody from the '80s Celtics.
Gotcha.
Then you go Ray Bork.
Love it.
And then David Ortiz.
I think that is as solid as a 4 as you're ever going to get. So I love that. I absolutely love that. I think that's lights out.
But I mean, you could, and I even left off like Bill Russell. I mean,
you have Ted Williams in there too somewhere.
Ted Williams. I mean, there's been so many amazing players. It's just not fair to do 4. Like, you can't.
Okay, I got another Boston sports question for you. So the Celtics right now in the midst of the playoffs. Pats are about to get started here in the next couple of weeks. Give me your prediction. Where do you think the Celtics are going to end up? Where do you think the Pats are going to end up?
Celtics are going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay, I love that.
And I'm gonna say they're gonna take it to a Game 7. I don't know I keep going back and forth of who they're gonna play, to be honest with you. And for the Patriots, I don't know. I'm a diehard Patriots fan. Love them. But I don't see it being a good season, because there's been an improvement in the division. It's been great. I mean, Buffalo's gotten a lot better. The Jets have gotten a lot better, and so I see them going 8-8.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's a true sports fan right there. You're unbiased and you're telling the truth on that one.
I mean they have Cam Newton, but they have one. He's been hurt, hasn't played in basically a year. So you don't know what you're getting. He's called the Patriots playbook calculus, which I've heard that's what it is. And then he has Julian Edelman, but Julian Edelman is getting up there in age football wise. You don't know if he can stay healthy. Yeah, they have a lot of young talent in N'Keal Harry and a lot of these other guys, but it's a lot of the unknown, and then you have guys sitting out because of COVID. They've lost probably 5 or 6 of their main staple players on defense just because of that. And they don't have a tight end either. So you just don't know.
You don't know. Well, I appreciate the predictions. I appreciate you looking into the crystal ball on that one. So thank you. This last one is one that we ask everyone who comes on the podcast. We're all about building strength, and not just strength in the physical sense, but just strength for life, lifelong athlete, things like that. What is the thing that gives you strength?
My faith, and then the other thing is, like I said, the people around me, because I I realized that I've been given a platform, been given a responsibility, and my undying fear is that I'm gonna let somebody down, you know, and not give them 100% of myself, and that's what drives me. And I know I keep bringing it up, but
No, go for it.
it's only because it's true. Everybody that's invested in me as a person, I feel like no matter what I do, I'll always have that chip on my shoulder of, hey, so-and-so helped get you here. Like you got to go above and beyond. I'll wrap it up with this real quick. Tom Brady said, they asked him a question. So what drives you? You've won 6 championships, 5 championships. Whenever this question was asked, and he goes, my draft pick. He goes, nobody expected me to be good.
Yep.
And he goes, it doesn't matter that I've won 5, 6 championships. He's like, I still remember that nobody really wanted me. And he told Robert Kraft, he said, you will be, this will be the best decision you've ever made. And he said that in his rookie year. And I kind of equate that to me. Nobody doubts me because of my cerebral palsy, my inner circle. But in my mind, I kind of make stuff up in my mind a little bit. And think like, oh, people doubt you because of that. Like they don't think you can do that, even though they've never said that. And it's completely false. But that's what I use as motivation.
I think that's a brilliant answer. I do. I absolutely think you hit it on the head.
So I mean, Michael Jordan said the same thing in the documentary that they did. He's like I'd go up against somebody and they'd score like 50, and then we'd be walking off the court and the guy would talk trash, and he goes, I would use that as motivation for the next night, and I'd go out and I'd torch him, and then the reporter would come to me afterwards, hey Jordan, did this person really say that? And he goes, no, I just told myself that they said that because I needed a little extra motivation. And that is what I'm talking about there. I know people aren't going to doubt me because of my cerebral palsy or whatever, but that's just, I just do that. I make stuff to push myself.
That's an incredible answer. You just to let you know, you were all aces in the rapid fire. You were lights out, perfect game. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
More than anything, thank you for coming on the podcast. We'll definitely have you on again at some point. I'm looking forward to maybe talking some more Boston sports because I love to do that. And final thing, tell everyone where we can find you on the web, on social. I know you have a podcast, so tell everyone where we can go find you so we can get a lot of the Anchor family going your way.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate the time for the plug. It's handicapablefitness.com, and there you'll find links to all the social media. But if you're on Instagram, it's Handi, HANDI _capable_fitness. And then on Facebook and YouTube, it's just Handi Capable Fitness, spaces in between all the words. And then just started a podcast that you guys are going to be a part of here in the next couple of weeks, which is awesome. We're definitely looking forward to that. It's called the Adaptive Collaborative. We do it live here on Zoom every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. And basically we just bring people on that have incredible inspirational stories and give them the spotlight and just show people what's possible and highlight them.
I love it. We're excited to be on. We're going to have our whole Anchor group of people go give you a follow, go show you some love on the internet. And like I said, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We're grateful and we're excited to have you on again.
Thank you.